What's up, guys? Welcome to the HVAC Dope Show channel. Again, today we're gonna show you a VRV Life system and why VRV Life is the dopest HVAC on the planet. So check us out, and remember, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you find this content helpful, please share it with your friends. So we're outside at the condenser. This is the guts of a VRV Life system. You can see it says VRV right here. This is a DAIKIN VRV. And this is what a VRV system sounds like when it's running at 50%, 70% capacity. And it's very quiet when compared to a traditional AC like you've seen in some of the other videos. And that's what I love about VRV, is that in addition to being extremely efficient, it's also very quiet and just provides for an awesome level of comfort, and that you have the ability to zone multiple areas. And then at the same token, you don't just have, the zoning is where it's at, because like I said, if you got grandma in the basement and she likes it freezing cold and you like it hot upstairs, you guys have that ability to adjust your own settings in each of those zones. And that's just one of the best features that comes along with the VRV system. But it's also, your neighbors are going to love you because you're not the neighbor with the obnoxiously loud AC that kicks on in the middle of the night like that. And anyways, now you can't even hear me. But so that's my point, is that we love the VRV for that reason, is that it's so quiet. And when you look at the footprint, this is a big system, so that's why it's a little bit bigger. But the reason it's on a heat pump stand too, I'm going to get that out of there, is that this system will also do heating in the winter. And so I'm going to turn. So that thing's off. But you can see the system's extremely quiet, and the reason it's on a heat pump stand is because this does heating and cooling down to about, I think it's 10 degrees below outside. This thing will heat and cool your house. So it's very efficient, it's very effective, and can run in a variety of climates. So this thing heats our shop and our office space year round. It's rare, we might get one day out of the entire winter that it drops below 10 degrees in Colorado. But this thing, keeps up like a champ. And the reason it's on a heat pump stand, like I was saying, is when a heat pump goes through a defrost cycle, it has to be able to, if there's ice built up on it, it needs to be able to drop off the bottom. And so that's why it's on the stand. But yeah, that's the VRV Life system, and we're gonna go inside and I'm gonna show you some of the indoor components that connect to all of this. But this is an extension of the VRV system. Like I said, you can have lots of head units, or you can have lots of different components attached to it. So like I showed you guys the air handler that we had in the shop that was on that same refrigeration circuit, it's all connected to the same condenser outside. And what's nice about that is because the VRV Life is an inverter system, just like the Daikin Fit, it'll ramp up and down to where it can meet the needs of this cassette running at 10% of its capacity. And at the same time, if all the head units and the condensers and the central air are all calling for cooling at 100% capacity, it can ramp up and meet that. So it's an extremely efficient system because you don't have to heat or cool the whole space. You could have it 60 degrees downstairs, 70 degrees upstairs, whatever you want it in the garage or whatnot. And so that way you have that ultimate zoning comfort. But this is, in the Daikin VRV setup, this is a cassette is what it's called. And I'll turn it on so you can see. If you hear that wind noise or the sound of the HVAC, that's actually the central air right now. I'm going to go show you guys that in a second, which is where our furnace is, and the indoor evap coil that connects to it. And you'll also get to see some of those RefNet branches and how everything's connected. But so this is set on right now, and basically these, you can wire these in with lots of different controllers. So you have some choices that you can choose when it comes to controls. This is a Daikin 1 thermostat, and this has a gateway adapter that works specifically with the air handler, in our case a furnace, because we have a furnace that's paired with an indoor coil. And so the Daikin 1 controller, this is something that has Wi-Fi capabilities, so you can control it from your phone. So that's one of the reasons we chose the Daikin 1. But even this head unit has a Wi-Fi interface adapter that allows me to log into my phone. And so, like for example, here is all my HVAC apps you can kind of see, and one of those on there is the DAIKIN Comfort Control. And this DAIKIN Comfort Control app is where you would see all your head units if we had populated some of those, if we had put in some of those Wi-Fi controllers. And I don't have Wi-Fi controllers on these head units because we just use the remotes when we're at the office and it's not that important. But it's something that if you wanted to, you could technically control it from your phone. And then for the DAIKIN one, we use, the DAIKIN One Home. And so you can have multiple DAIKIN ones on that DAIKIN One controller, and that's going to give you the that remote access. So before you get to the office, you can set it at 70 or whatever you want so that it's comfortable, and then you can set it at a more energy efficient setting when you're not at home or at the office. And so that's the DAIKIN One thermostat right there, and this is a cassette controlled by a remote. And so that's just one of the types of components. And so we're going to go upstairs right now really quick, and I'll show you how it all ties into the furnace and evaporator coil. So this is, again, connected to the VRV Life system. So as you can see, this is our incoming line set. So if I pull this back, you can see that's our copper line, this is our suction line, and this is our incoming liquid line. And this is connected to the system through a series of ref nets, and I'll show you what a ref net is in a second. But this is your evaporator coil. This sits on top of your furnace. And if you're in a cooling climate only, or a climate like Florida or something where you don't really turn on the heat that often, depending on what part of Florida you're in, or same thing for Texas. I mean, sometimes you turn on the heat there for a month out of the year. In a place like Houston or someplace even further south, where you have a much longer cooling season. This is just one component that sits on top of your furnace, or in lieu of a furnace and evap coil combination, you're going to have an air handler is what you might be used to seeing, which is literally, it just gets rid of the furnace component, and it's just an air handler that has a coil in it, and then it typically has some sort of backup electric heat, like an insert kit to provide heat. So if you look at the system, we'll come back here really quick and I'll show you what a ref net is. But this is essentially a branch T that comes off of both the liquid line and the suction line. And like how I mentioned earlier, if you want to take a look at this right here, this is the ball valve that we install so that we can service each of the individual units. So for example, if we need to replace this coil, rather than removing refrigerant from the whole system, what we can do is evacuate everything from the coil and then just shut off these ball valves while we work on the system, and literally the rest of the system can be running while we pull out this specific coil, and it's not going to affect things at all. So that's one of the benefits of it, and that's why we install it this way. Again, this is why you want to choose a contractor that does quality installation, because something like this, although we should trim these zip ties, I don't know, I haven't done that yet, but hey, we're making your system look good. But the office system is not as big of a priority. But anyways, we've got this set up here so that way it can be serviced individually. And so that's why this is just one component of the VRV Life system. And then we're gonna show you the air handler in the garage as a juxtaposition, or in the shop as a, like what I was saying, you'll see in a climate that has more of a cooling only type climate. And so this is another component that's also all tied to that same outdoor condenser unit that we showed you. These are all plumbed in. So this is on the same condenser as the furnace with the evap coil. It's on the same condenser as the cassette, which was the ceiling mounted head unit. And this is on that same condenser as well. And if you look, I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's also some more of those ref nets that I was talking about. And those are the branches that basically split off and direct the refrigerant flow to the different head units on the system. And so an air handler, like I said, it's the same concept as a furnace. You have a blower, which is your motor that's pushing air through the ductwork, and you have your coil on top of it, all in one unit. And so that system can both heat and cool, and it's zoned, to cover the shop, so that way we can heat and cool the shop just with that air handler and that condenser outside.